Hello everyone and welcome back to another live here in the podding shed. Hopefully we're coming through loud and clear, and hopefully we're not going to get any of these technical issues that we have been plagued over the last couple of weeks. Fingers crossed. I'm keeping an eye on everything and seeing what's happening. Now, as always, I'd like to start off by asking, what have you been up to in your own allotments or vegetable patches this weekend or over this last week? Now, here down in Littlehampton on the south coast, it's been miserable weather all week. Miserable to the point that my garden is basically like a quagmire. It's so full of water that just walking out there, I'm slipping all over the place. It's really, really annoying. But I have managed yesterday, I managed to build a brand new bed in my plot at home, replacing two of my smaller beds, which are now those that the wood for that is going to go down the allotment and be used again. But I've just built one large bed out of this much more decent wood, but quite expensive wood at the same time, just to make it look a lot better than using scrap bits of wood. And that also means I can now fill that up with some compost out my compost bins, which will free up some space inside my compost bins. Fingers crossed we can get that done over this next week. Obviously, the big news is that this week we are having problems, obviously, with I've just seen I've gone live twice on Facebook. We're going to be having problems with being on lockdown, so that's going to cause issues later on this week, but we'll come to that a bit later on. Ian Beddoes is out there saying good evening, Richard. Good evening to you. I can't see anything over on YouTube, so I'm just going to bring up the screen and see what's going on over there, just in case I'm missing out on anything there. And I am, yeah, the comments yet again have not came onto my screen from YouTube. So over on YouTube, Mike Stevens, good evening and happy All Saints Day all. Good evening to you. Ernie Samat, hi Richard, how did your Halloween go? In a word, crap. I'll come to that in a minute. Turbo Stream, good evening from a windy and wet and wild Birmingham. Ernie has said nothing much in the garden this week apart from pruning the shrubs, weather permitting. Anna Jones, hi Richard, hello gardeners, hello to you. Turbo Stream, I ventured to the allotment to harvest a parsnip and a leek, but did no work as it was still too wet. And Turbo Stream is saying it's buffering there again over on YouTube. I don't know how it is on Facebook. But Gary Bain's signal is really bad and freezing yet again. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's for some reason it's suddenly just got worse in the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. I'm gonna with this lockdown that's coming up, I think we're gonna have time that I can get hold of my internet supplier and get them to sort this out, because I'm getting frustrated as it is. Right. Now, what was I going to say? So, Ernie was asking how my Halloween was. Well, obviously, the news yesterday caused quite a bit of problems, because, well, lockdown number 2, lockdown point 2, not good news at all. I've obviously got a garden and I've got various other things that can keep me occupied if at the moment, if I'm unable to work. And I suspect I won't be able to work because 80% of my work is restaurants. And Ernie is also saying about not being able to do much apart from pruning the shrubs this week, weather permitting. I think, was it Turbo Stream who mentioned that it's also too wet to do anything. I've certainly found out not being able to get out in the garden or down the allotment because it's just been raining constantly. But I did pop down the allotment today, harvested a few leeks, absolutely delicious leeks. We've had them for our dinner. Parsnips, carrots. What else did I harvest? A pak choy, or bok choy as it's otherwise known. All of them absolutely delicious and really, really tasty. The downside, I was trying to hoe around some of the beds, but unfortunately the soil, I'm on a hard clay. I don't know if anybody else has this trouble out there, but on a hard clay, the soil just sticks to the hoe, and it just doesn't really do much at all. A little bit annoying, but frustrating. Apparently the audio is coming through good, which is what I think is quite important, but the picture keeps stopping and starting. Well, as long as the audio comes through, I don't know what it's like on Facebook, but if the audio comes through, then we can work with that. If you want to call in, the phone line is open. It is running across the bottom of your screen, 07307 135 174. Turbo Stream has also echoed what I just said. Not looking forward to lockdown number 2. So glad to have an allotment to look forward to. I'm not looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm a bit. Well, it is what it is. This lockdown, we've got to make the most of it, and I suspect that I will once again be going on to a daily podcast. Might take the weekends off, but a daily podcast on veg gardening. Now, the Monday podcast will stay the same as I've always been doing, where you get the diary section and you get a subject. But the other 4, I am thinking I'll probably do like a job of the day. And it could be a build, like building a bird table or building a birdhouse or something like that, or a compost bin, or it could be a how to grow guide, be it garlic or onions or something like that, just so I can add a bit of something to everyone's day who is out there and thinking about what to do. Over on Facebook, Ian Suggett, Dad, good evening. Did you carve a pumpkin? No, I did not, because I do not carve pumpkins in I personally, and this is just my personal belief, do not feel that carving pumpkins is appropriate. I much rather we eat the pumpkins. Now, if you can carve pumpkins and eat them at the same time, I'm happy with that. Not only that, my pumpkins still are growing. They're not ready yet, so I've left them on there to see how much bigger we can get them. Even the stems are still growing, so I'm quite happy with my pumpkins. The variety I grow is Crown Prince, which is a much more flavoursome pumpkin than many of the others. Ian Beddoes, not been in the garden, been watching the tomatoes ripen on the windowsill and cooking black peas. I've heard you talk about black peas quite a bit. I've got to find out more about these, because I like the idea of black peas if they are meant to be black. Owen is out there saying hello to you. Over on YouTube, Turbo Stream, I garden on clay too. Muddy feet this time of year. Yeah, exactly. Dick Well Green Fingers. This is like a 1980s kung fu movie dubbed badly. Not your fault. I wish I knew what was going on. I'm doing my best. That's all I can say. And I'll be over this month, I will be contacting my internet supplier and see what they can do. Turbo Stream started making some cold frames this afternoon from an old pallet. Great idea. That's going to be one of the tasks that I think we could do throughout this second lockdown. Lockdown 2.0. And Charlotte Gleason, good evening, Richard. Good evening to you. Now, tonight I have not got any photos to share, purely because I didn't make a little video, but instead we are going to be talking about some news articles that have been sent in. So let's start with the first one. So, let me bring this up. Yep, that works. This was sent to me by Ian, funnily enough, who I know is... Oh, no, this one wasn't, sorry. This one let's start again. This was the one that was sent to me by Ian, and it's pumpkins as big as Cinderella's carriage. Manuel Planes, an amateur grower from Almira, has set a new Andalusian record this year for pumpkins, weighing in at 456 kilos. Officially the biggest pumpkin of 2020 was weighing in at quite a lot of weight. Let's spell out in Great Britain by Lymington, which is an article I got coming up in a bit later. Anyway, it goes on as a bit of an interview, asked him a few questions. Apparently they have a dry climate, which must be a struggle. But Manuel replies, exactly, the climate here is similar to Malaga, possibly a bit drier, so it's important to get the water in right, especially if you're growing an organic product. I have to try and store rainwater for the irrigation. In the autumn, I got excited to see the results of my investigation and effort. And there it is on a crane. Just look at the size of that thing. Pretty damn big. Now, if you want to find out more, that was let's get rid of that. That was, where was it? Shoreininenglish.com. Shoreininenglish.com. That article was on there. But you know, I'm not a I'm always impressed with these people that grow these huge pumpkins. I think there's so much effort that goes into it. But what does slightly annoy me, and this is just my personal opinion, that huge pumpkin has had so much water and so much care going into it, and really it's not edible. In a world when there's so many people who go starving, I always worry that's especially with the news of children not being able to be fed. Always worry that huge pumpkin is a bit of a waste when there's so many starving people in the world. Mike Stevens liked the amination. Thank you very much. So what's your thoughts on that giant pumpkin? We've got one coming up from one in the UK a bit later on. Looking forward to seeing that. Charlotte, I haven't done any veg gardening today. Planted spring bulbs instead. Yesterday I cut back my herb plants, mainly my sage, rosemary, thyme and oregano. And chopped down my garlic chives and normal chives. All good stuff for the compost heap. Certainly lots keeping you busy there, Charlotte. I love herbs. I absolutely do love growing herbs. I think they're probably one of the most useful things we can grow in the veg plants. Now on the lockdown, Digwell Green Fingers, don't think the lockdown will be as bad as number one. Less restrictions. If only people had done as they were told, the virus does not move itself around. Yeah, I agree. This is not going to be as serious as number one. The only trouble I think we have this time round is the weather. We were lucky in the first time that the weather was good and we were able to go out in our gardens or down our allotments. If the weather stays like it's been this last couple of days, that's probably not going to be such an easy option. But I think it's important to make the most out of it. Oh, we have our first caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Well, hello there, Mr. Richardson. It's Jeff Michaels over here with the old Colorado saying howdy.
Howdy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, Mr. Sutton. We just come out of our annual pumpkin carving competition over here in the Colorado. Very happy to say I'm free from the bonds of the cell that I was in for the last 3 months, but thank you to your listeners for bailing me out.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome. Now, did you see that article about the giant pumpkin and what did you think of it?
Is that over in your little United Kingdom over there?
That was we've got one from the United Kingdom, which is the largest in 2020.
It's rubbish.
But
Rubbish.
that one was from, where was it now? It was somewhere. Andalusia, Spain.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen it, President over here, Mr. Donald Trump. He's claimed that he's grown one the size of a house. So I don't disbelieve him, but we're not seeing photographic evidence yet. But we're not looking forward to see that. But over here in Colorado, we do an annual Colorado biggest pumpkin carving competition in the world. So we carve our pumpkins up and show them off, and at the end, they
Yeah.
just go straight in the bin. But we carve them pumpkins up.
Well, excellent, excellent. You carve the pumpkins up. Well, I mean, I'm not a fan of that, as you no doubt know, but what you do with your
It's
own
a,
pumpkins is your own choice.
well, we've been doing it here in the Colorado since 1872, so it's a big tradition over here.
Oh, right. 1872. That dates back quite a while then.
Yeah, well, we actually fine people if they eat the pumpkin. You get a
Really?
$100 fine over here if you even eat a slice.
Oh, well, there you go. I never knew that.
Well, there you go. I must
Yeah.
go because I think I just seen one of my neighbors. I want to keep my voice down, but I think I just seen one of my neighbors over there. She looks like she's gonna make pumpkin pie. We can't have that in Colorado, but I must go, Mr. Sugar. But really enjoying the show and happy Halloween.
Yep. Happy Halloween to you too, Jeff. Lovely to hear from you.
Cheerio, howdy, howdy.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye. Here we go, Jeff Michaels from Colorado on the Monkey Ranch. A few comments came in. So Dean over on Facebook, I removed my tomato plants from the greenhouse. It's empty now, but I've got about 40 pounds of tomatoes from them. You know, I'm thinking about removing my tomato plants from my greenhouse as well, but my greenhouse won't be empty. Well, my greenhouses won't be empty, I should say. I will be in my greenhouse at home, protecting some of my overwintering delicate plants, such as my banana trees and my peach tree. But I will still use the beds, especially at the one at home or down on the allotment, for growing things. I've got overwintering peas down on the allotment greenhouse, and also salad leaves, and pak choi. Over on YouTube, Turbo Stream, that is huge. I think it's talking about the pumpkin. Imagine if it broke up when they moved it to get it weighed. That would be a great fear of that. I've got to say, you know, so much effort goes into growing these pumpkins, and it does make you worry. The slightest thing can happen. Love your Halloween graphics and display. Great effort. Thank you very much, Ernie. Mike, and the virus doesn't get anyone in pubs before 10 p.m. Well, there you go. It's very clever, isn't it? A Turbo Stream, I think many people will carry on as normal this time with lockdown number 2. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I can only take responsibility for myself. That's all I can say. Andrew Norris has joined. What's ho, everyone? Hello to you. Is that Richard Vobe's comedy voice? No, that was Jeff Michaels from Colorado. Dave Ford has joined. Hello, Dave. I haven't seen you for a long time. My veg patch now pot to bed for the winter. Only thing there is winter lettuce, Arctic King, under 2 cloches and some onion sets. Roll on the spring. Well, I believe, Dave, you do a lot of the competition growing, so you probably don't putting the beds to bed over winter is a common thing. I personally prefer to garden right through, but that's just how I like to do things. As much as I can, I will garden right throughout the winter. But I do use winter time for infrastructure work. I think I've spoken about this many times before. Turbo Stream will be going to the allotment tomorrow to move the runner beans and top dress more of the plot. Good idea. And Andrew Norris, hoping to use the multi-cultivator, tomorrow and then plant garlic. I refuse to buy the stuff coming from China. Great effort. I mean, I think everyone out there is growing onions and garlic and lettuce at the moment. Just goes to show how much we can still grow at this time of year. In fact, I had an email earlier from one of my members of the Supporters Members Club, who was asking, she was a bit behind and how much could she still sow. And obviously broad beans, peas, that sort of thing can still be sown and grown. And I said, make the most of it. Onions, garlic, winter lettuce. Oh, we have another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Happy Halloween,
Happy Halloween. Who's that?
Olive.
Hello, Olive. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good, good. Have you had a good Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did your daddy carve you lots of pumpkins?
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you enjoy them?
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Good, good. So what have you been up to in the garden, Olive?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
No, is that because it's too cold for you and too wet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's much better to be in the nice...
We've done a bonfire.
You've had a bonfire?
Yeah.
Excellent. I think I saw a photo of this. Was it in a wheelbarrow?
Yeah.
Excellent. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it your idea?
No.
No. Oh dear, oh dear. So what else have you been up to over Halloween then, Olive?
Picked fossils off the beach.
Oh, nice.
Went to the woods.
Oh, nice.
Halloween trail.
Halloween trail. Wow, what was that about?
You've got to find witches and a good witch and a broomstick and a rat and a mushroom and a pumpkin and a bat and a ghost.
Did you find them all?
Yeah.
Excellent. Was there a prize?
Yeah, you got a prize at the end.
Excellent. Did you get your prize?
Yeah, but I only get 2 marshmallows because I didn't like the other things.
Ah, fair enough. That you've just reminded me, Olive. I had some Halloween up wine gums that I was meant to eat on the show, and I've forgotten them.
What? Bye.
Bye. You take care.
Bye.
Bye, Olive. You take care. There we go. That was Olive. That's probably the youngest caller I've ever had on this show. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Over right on the comments. What was going on? Right, Mike Stevens planted winter lettuce too, but the birds ate the lot. I've got to admit, I don't get many problems with birds eating my plants, thinking about it. I've got my lettuce growing in various places, but down on the allotment, they're not even covered up and they've not been eaten. No, Linda Kane is out there. Hello, Linda. No veg news from me, just lurking greetings. Hello. Mike Stevens, is a multi-cultivator another name for a rotavator or tiller, Andrew, please? And Andrew said, yes, Mike. Thanks, Andrew. You tried no dig, Andrew. Now, it's interesting. I think Andrew's all the way in Croatia, if my memory serves me right, where multi-cultivator, I think I tend to call it a rotavator myself, but different names, different things. Personally, I've got a rotavator in my no dig gardening, as Turbo Stream has just mentioned. And this is I mentioned earlier that I've got a new bed that I've built down out at home, and this is why I'll be filling that up with all the compost out my compost bins, and that will just then get out of bed mulched, ready to go. I can plant straight into that and get it growing exactly how I want it. But the other advantage with that is quite quite simply, it also will empty out my compost bins, which means I can fill them again because I've got piles and piles of stuff sitting on my lawn waiting to be used. I've actually, on Friday, I forgot to mention this, Friday I managed to finish work reasonably early, that I managed to start digging over a little area of my garden that is going to become a orchard slash wildflower corner slash herb bed. So what I mean by that is I've got an apple tree, an elder tree, and I might put another fruit tree in there as well. All underneath is going to be underplanted with wildflower seeds, and then around the edge I'm just edging it with herbs to make like a stately homes used to have box hedging around their beds. Excuse me. I'm going to use my own herbs for that instead. That's my plan, because everything needs to be edible, and if it's not edible, useful in some way. Shall we have a look at this one from the Lymington? So, we mentioned this earlier. Bring up the right button. Come on, there we go. £3 short, Lymington Pumpkin twins smashed the UK record and came close in a world title attempt. World title, that's something to be really proud of, isn't it? Lymington twins, which I believe is Lymington down in the New Forest, Ian and Stuart have smashed their own UK record for the biggest ever pumpkin, but came up short of the coveted world record. The 185 stone monster, 185 stone, 185 stone, that's quite a weight, was just £3. So that's what in stone, £3, not much at all. Officially weighed at Pine Tops Nursery in Lymington on Saturday, making it the second largest squash ever grown. I mean, just look at the size of it with those people there. The Superfruits is one of the crops of 4 £2,000 plus whoppers the brothers produced this year, with 2 of them now set to be displayed at Sunnyfields Farm in Totton and other nurseries in Lymington. I wonder if I'm going to be able to get down there over this next week. Ian said, once we have grown the pumpkins, they're absolutely no good for eating, so we always try to find a way they can be used to raise money for charity. We're not quite sure where the biggest will end up yet, but we're expecting to have lots of interest in the next week or so. The gigantic squash was cultivated in greenhouses near the family-run Pine Tops Nursery in Efford, near Lymington, where 59-year-olds Ian and Stuart spent around 6 hours a day tending to it. As it's grown its peak, it's gained an incredible £51 a day for 21 straight days. This year's Whopper weighed in at 200, that much, bringing it in at £31 off the world record and smashing the brothers' previous UK title of £2,433. Ian said, this year our biggest pumpkin was an absolute monster. We needed 2 forklifts to get it out the greenhouse, so we knew we were going to come in close to the record. We didn't quite break the world record this time, but we're absolutely sure we will get there one day. It's just a matter of time. The article goes on, and that can be found in the Advertiser and Times.co.uk. But £3 just short of the record. That's pretty impressive. I know I don't like. I like to grow food for food, but that is credit where credit's due. Impressive, and I also like the fact that they will donate it to charity, which I think is absolutely awesome, and I just can't get over the size of that thing. I can't see any comments on Facebook, so I don't know if that is working. But over on YouTube, Sounds like a great plan, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, that is my plan. I think it's going to look awesome. I think our soil is fairly similar, Turbo Stream, clay and slash sticky. Yep, that's definitely the way to describe it. Turbo Stream, you could try cardboard on top of the weeds, then plant into compost. Perhaps leave a section and try it. The rotavator will bring up weed seeds to the surface. So Turbo Stream's educating Andrew on the no dig method, which I absolutely love, and it's something I do. Cardboard, I have found with the couch grass that I get down on the allotment, it doesn't seem to work that well in beating the couch grass, in all honesty. I suspect it's down to the horse manure, but also due to the fact that it's incredibly clay down there, incredible clay, and couch grass is just a pain in the bottom, to say the least. Andrew, look up Charles Dowden on YouTube. I actually really want to go to Charles Dowden's plot one day. I keep saying I'm going to go there on his open days, and unfortunately it got cancelled this year. Otherwise I would have gone, because it's market garden on 2 acres, I think it is, but it is absolutely stunning in the photos I've looked. Ernie, Richard, these large pumpkins, are they grown naturally without growth enhancers? That's a good question, actually. I believe they don't have any growth enhancers, but what they've done is used the most the largest pumpkin seeds. So that pumpkin that we saw in that example, the seeds from that will probably be bought by a company, because that passing the genetics on, and they will produce larger and larger seeds. A popular one is called Atlantic Giant. So we'll start off with those large seeds. They'll probably start it early. That one was grown in a greenhouse, so it can get off to an earlier start, can grow it really nice and strong. It takes a lot of watering. I hear stories like gallons and gallons every day to get that pumpkin to that size. They will also remove every other single pumpkin off the plant, just leaving that one, so that plant will force its energy into growing that one pumpkin. And of course it will be fed and fed and fed with plenty of grow more or something like that, which will just keep it going and grow those huge pumpkins. Absolutely stunning and amazing what they can do. There may be some growth enhancers used in some places, but I think nowadays that's generally frowned upon more and more. Charlotte on Facebook is saying the feed is working. Just listening, while cooking a bacon and leek quiche. Homegrown leeks and eggs, of course. Oh, that sounds lovely. Bacon and leek quiche. Bacon and leek quiche. And Valinda, hello, I haven't seen you for a while. Too bad it's not edible. I know, that is always my feelings on that. It's a shame that pumpkin of that size is not edible, and all that effort has gone to grow that is not gone into... You imagine how many people that could feed if that was edible. You know, that'd probably be... Oh, crikey. A lot of soup, or a lot of pumpkin pie, or pumpkin cake, or pumpkin risotto could be made out of that one pumpkin. Richard, do you prefer, for compost bins, those made from wood, or the commercial plastic barrel-like receptacles with lids on? I've got to say, personally, I prefer the plastic ones, although they are limited in their size. I've got several out here in my home garden. The reason I like them is that I find that it tends to insulate all the material inside, so it traps in some of that heat, and it attracts the sunlight, which also helps break down that compost a lot better. The plastic does, I think, last longer, although it is made from plastic, and I know that's a bad word, but I think the plastic tends to last longer than the wood. The wooden ones, I think, are great at first, but they rapidly deteriorate. and also because wood is quite porous, it can sometimes let some of the moisture out. So you've got to add a bit more moisture to your compost heap when you're trying to get it to rot down, which I find the plastic just seems to hold on to that moisture a bit more when it sweats or steams. That's just my personal opinion. Anybody else out there who has opinion on wooden or plastic compost bins, let us know in the comments. For parsnips, this is from TurboStream. All you need is to loosen the soil with a fork. My parsnips were fine this year with no dig. I think this is the conversation. Andrew said he struggles with parsnips because it's quite loose. I actually find parsnips don't do too bad in clay once they are germinated. It's getting them germinated that can sometimes cause the problem. And the harder the soil is, the harder it is for the seed to germinate. And especially now when the soil gets wet, that clay soil tends to cap over and stop anything from growing. What else? Bacon now. I'm going to have to cook that this week because it sounds. Oh yeah, I just really fancy bacon and leek quiche. Olive's first time watching. Hello, Olive again. Can you give her another shout out and tell her different ways to eat pumpkins? She still doesn't believe they can be eaten. Well, Olive, pumpkins can be eaten in a great number of ways. And my favourite thing to do with pumpkins is actually a pumpkin chutney. It sounds completely mad, but it is really delicious and it really captures some of that lovely flavour. Other things you can do with pumpkin risotto. Now, a risotto is obviously for Olive's sake a rice dish. A rice, you add a load of pumpkin into it, a bit of stock, and it tastes absolutely delicious. Takes a while to cook, but it is really nice. Add some peas, garlic and onions. Really, really nice. Pumpkin soup, also a really another one. Now, very, very easy to do pumpkin soup. Just add your pumpkin into a bowl or a pan of vegetable stock. Perhaps add some onions, bit of salt, bit of pepper, a few herbs if you want, and then basically boil it and then simmer it for a while. Blend it in a blitzer into a really nice smooth soup, and then heat that, and your soup is ready to go. Pumpkin bread is something I've been told about recently that I want to try. It sounds delicious. Pumpkin pie, also really, really lovely. Now, pumpkin pie is a American dish. Belinda will probably be able to tell me more about what pumpkin pie is because it's normally my wife that cook pumpkin and cream into I think we call it more like a flan here. Excuse me. But yeah, so many things you can do with pumpkins. Not just carve them, but absolutely delicious. And in fact, I will save some pumpkin soup for when I see your dad next, and he can pass it on to you to try. What we got over on YouTube? I have this is from TurboStream, 220 litre plastic bins, Mike. My main problem is it never gets hot. Perhaps you need to chop up your material really nice and small. What I tend to do, and I probably shouldn't recommend this, is I run over everything with a lawnmower and then I put that all into my compost bins. What I find with that is because it's small, it heats up quicker. And it also breaks down faster and produces a much better compost, much easier to sort out and sift through. The other thing, and reason it may not be getting hot, is you need a mix of green and browns, and you might need to keep it damp. Now, greens, lawn, grass cuttings, your green material, browns, cardboard, wood shavings, wood prunings, that sort of thing. You want about equal mixed levels of each and layer it green, brown, green, brown, green, brown until it's all full up. Then just mix it all together, and that should actually get quite hot. And if it does cool down, give it another mix and you'll probably soon find it will heat up again quite quickly. All right, Mike. Yes, I've got those large bins too, but I couldn't lift the bin off the ground to remove the compost. What am I doing wrong, please? Have you, when you say lift off the ground, are we talking about like a black or plastic cone type, or does it have a door on the front? Because some have a door on the front, which usually makes it quite easy to get the compost out. Or the cone type is you keep filling it up in the top and put it through. Other than that, all I can think the reason it's not coming out there quite easily might be because you need to chop it up a bit more and get it really nice and friable. Trust me, it does make a difference. I've learned this so much since I started basically chopping everything up with a lawnmower. My compost making skills have really gone through the roof. It's produced far better compost in a much quicker time. Mike, I can't lift mine either. I used a spade to empty mine. It took 18 months to compost properly. Chop it up small. It'll do it in as little as 6 weeks in the summer, but into around this time, 6 months, easy. Are your bins on soil or concrete? Mine are on soil. Mine are on soil as well. I don't like the idea of putting them on concrete because how do the worms get in? Since our parsnips were so raggedy this year, we've made them into soup with butternut squash. It was most amazing flavour. They complement each other beautifully. Highly recommend it. That sounds delicious. There's so many butternut squash recipes coming in at the moment, but this one from Andrew, parsnip and butternut squash, I'm going to give that a try. No door, just a lid on the top. So I'm wondering if you've got the cone type, which are the type that you're meant to sort of bury under the ground then, and you just keep filling from the top and all the worms will pull that through. I've got a couple of those. I tend to have those on the allotment, but I don't like them as much because I want to use the compost. Mine are on soil, Mike. Even a little door in the front is useless. That's from Turbo Stream. Over on Facebook. So Charlotte, pumpkin ravioli, pumpkin gnocchi, grated pumpkin into a gratin / hash cake. We're not going to say that for a little child. But yeah, pumpkin gnocchi, pumpkin ravioli, grated pumpkin into a gratin. That sounds delicious as well. Good thing to do over winter is pop bottles of hot water in your composter and it warms it up in there. True story. Actually, that's something I heard when I chatted to the guys at Hot Bin Composting. They recommended doing that as well, but I put that down to the fact that they're using the hot bin insulates the water, or it insulates the system, and I think that was just holding onto it a lot better. By the way, that's not a bad thought actually. If anybody is having trouble composting over the winter, if you've got an old blanket or an old duvet, you can wrap it around your compost bin. It will probably help keep that heat up in your compost bin. Now I've got one more news article for everyone, which I'm gonna give a warning because it's probably not the nicest subject to talk about. So this article actually, I've given everyone a warning. So it was discussed on Friday on Lee's show about how bodies can be turned into compost. As we seem to be talking about compost, it fits. So living coffin could be good for environment as it turns bodies into compost. This comes from EuroWeeklyNews.com. The phrase ashes to ashes may soon become a thing of the past as a Dutch student has created a loop living cocoon which is a coffin made from the roots of fungi, which will decompose the body and return nutrients to the earth. As green funerals become more and more popular, the price of traditional coffins continue to rise. Bob Hendricks has created his living coffin, which, while strong enough to contain a body, will, when placed in wet ground, break down a human body in he believes no more than 2 years. One woman has already accepted the challenge of becoming a human compost and has been buried accordingly, with a further 9 test burials, as the funeral parlours are interested in offering this option. Blah, 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 blah. He has 100 coffins produced for sale and believes this is a viable way of transforming landfill into green usable waste. So you get the idea. Not the nicest subject I know to talk about, but it's, especially if you're eating your dinner, so I apologise for that. But it's interesting idea, and it's something, when we discussed this the other day, would you consider being turned into compost yourself? I like the idea of it. I mean, it seems logical to me, if in many ways, but it also seems it's a bit morbid. I know, very morbid, but it seems, with the problem we seem to have in this country, certainly, of land becoming more and more precious, and lack of good soil is becoming more and more precious. It might be just another thing to add to the list. But what's your thoughts on that? Over on YouTube, they seem to be discussing quite a few ideas. Perhaps empty halfway down, Mike, then you might be able to lift it when it's more empty. Talking about Mike's compost bin. Yes, I haven't used the bins for ages now, as they weren't an easy way to remove the compost. I think the style you've got aren't the type you're meant to empty. You're just meant to keep filling them from the top. I could be wrong. If you want to send me a photo of your compost bin, actually, Mike, I'll be able to look at it better. That's richard@theveggrawlpodcast.co.uk. Parsnip and potato soup with apple, delicious. It is one of the snags of those type of bins, Mike. So I know how you feel, coming in from Turbo Stream. Why does premature burial come into my head? I have no idea, Mike. Chai Arnold, hello. I would prefer to be potash. That's actually something else I did hear about. Excuse me. There is a service out there that when you get cremated, you can then be put in the bottom of a pot, and your ashes turned into potash, and you have an apple tree or something growing out, which sounds interesting to me, and it was something I've been asked about by others. This is a really morbid conversation. Other people have asked me about this, and I like the idea of it, but again, I think it's a bit more suitable for me. Somebody whose name I can't pronounce is saying Happy Halloween over on Facebook. But yeah, the turning into potash type of things, I think that's probably a better way to go as well. Hello everyone from Kimmy's Kitchen and Garden. Hello to you. Linda Kane, just made Tuscan bean soup with veg from a friend's garden. Lovely. And Kimmy's Kitchen and Garden likes the idea of it too. It's really morbid, but it is Halloween, so I can sort of get away with it, I guess. So the overall thing I'm getting is that people like the idea of being composted or turned into potash, as opposed to the standard way that we just dispose of ourselves. And I would imagine, compared to those giant pumpkins, it's probably a great way to grow some giant pumpkins as well. Right, so Andrew Norris. My grandmother was buried in a willow coffin. She said she couldn't wait to be back in the earth. and she was buried in a natural burial ground. So, yeah. Composting. Mike Stevens, yeah, I'm not afraid of hard work, Turbo, and that is hard work. Talking about the compost bins, I keep saying that's starting to really annoy me. I personally do think that by chopping everything up small, which is why I run over everything with a lawnmower, it makes it a lot easier. Excuse me, a lot easier to dig out, a lot easier or quicker to rot everything down. The only trouble I do have with the running everything over in the lawnmower is when we do in our back garden, we get the odd thing that flies off and goes everywhere. So we've got to be a bit careful and make sure there's no stones in the pile as well. Well, with everything that's going on in the world, me and my family have been looking into what to do when we are gone. So it's good to talk about from Kimmy's Kitchen and Garden. Well, that makes me feel a bit like it's not such a difficult conversation, actually. But that does bring me back to what I was saying at the beginning. This month that we're going back into lockdown, what are you going to be doing in your own gardens and allotments? Are you not going to be gardening or allotmenteering at all? I certainly will be making as much use of it as I can. Don't forget you can call in on 07307 135 174. But I certainly will be doing as much as I can in my allotment and garden over that month. Just fingers crossed, my cladding for the new shed I'm building is going to arrive this week. So I can get that built while on lockdown and also dig over and build this new area of my garden that I want to build. And Kimmy is saying, I'm going to be gardening still. It keeps me sane and I have my chickens to look after. So Kimmy will certainly be gardening. And of course, chickens still need looking after. So if you've got chickens or if you've got a garden, you gotta take the time out to do those anyway. But what projects, is there anybody going to have any specific projects that they plan to do on this month if they are on lockdown? Or, I mean, I say if we are definitely going into a lockdown here in the UK, but like myself, I'm pretty certain I won't be able to work, but there is a slight error that I think I might have to work because my day job is actually a refrigeration engineer. Most of my clients are restaurants which are going to be closed. That's 80-90% of my work gone. But that does leave, I look after a lot of the schools in Brighton, so they might still need me, but we don't get a huge amount of calls from that. And then we get a few care homes which are unlikely to want us in unless it's absolutely desperate. How is Kevin's garden, Richard? This is coming from Andrew. So Kevin Hall, we had a video a few weeks ago who's just taken on an allotment, and I went over there yesterday actually and had another look, and I've got to say, apart from the fact his soil is so beautifully crumbly and black and just looks absolutely delicious, it is, I mean, he's got his plot really well looked after and ready to go. Plenty of compost going in. He's got onions, he's got a couple of cabbage plants that I gave him, and yeah, basically he's ready to go. I think he's just going to be struggling get anything in the ground just yet. I think he's planning on really going into it next spring when it is ready to get most of these things going. But yeah, Andrew, looking really good. There's also a possibility he might be getting another allotment. It might be wrong on that, but he asked me to cast his eye on that. And this second allotment that he might be getting is full of weeds, but I've suggested he just cuts the lot down and covers it in membrane and then just works on it bit by bit. Mike Stevens, I'm going to be preparing for a chamomile lawn and wildflower garden. Great. I've got to say, I think I mean, we can sow wildflower seeds getting towards the end of the time when we can sow them, but certainly next year. But I would say get your infrastructure work done throughout the winter when nothing is growing, so that as soon as spring hits, you can just get planting straight away. That's what I always do, and that's what I always think. That's why, like I say, I'll be doing a lot of building work over the winter, and come spring, bam, bam, it's ready to go. Not sure what's going on Facebook. Is it still running over there? Chi Arnold, or Chi Arnold, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I recognise your name. I know you're one of my supporter members. I have a back passage next to my garage which is enclosed with cladding and a clear roof. I'm going to start a little veg garden in there. What should I grow in there? So what you've basically got is like a mini greenhouse or polytunnel. So that opens up quite a wide amount of things that you can grow in there, Chai. I would probably look at what would I do? If you're looking to sow stuff now, broad beans, peas, they can go sown in there. Lamb's lettuce, winter salad crops. In fact, I don't know how big your back passage is next to your garage, if it's quite large, but I think salad crops and herbs as well, parsley, coriander, basil. Basil will probably need a bit of heat actually, but certainly all those will go really well in that area, and they don't take up a huge amount of room, so well worth trying that. Chi, right, thank you. Chi. Oh, lost the comments. Sorry, my fault. I dropped my phone there. There we go. Got it back. Yeah. So yeah, I certainly look at salad crops, herbs, peas. Well, I mean, my peas on my greenhouse are doing well. And what was the other thing? Broad beans. Broad beans could go outside quite happily. A 20 by 4 foot, and I plan to put shelves up. Excellent. I like the idea of this, G. Is it possible you could send me some photos as well? Because this sounds really, really interesting. 20 by 4, that's quite a bit of space. So I think, behind me I've got these shelves here, and I have actually got some salad seedlings growing on there. I've supplemented those with lighting. But definitely worth doing. But salad leaves, herbs, peas, lamb's lettuce, which is a salad leaf. That's where I think you would start. But please do send me some photos. richard@theveggroundpodcast.co.uk, and I really want to see how you get on with this. It sounds really exciting. Mike is agreeing with me about maintenance work in the winter, and garden centres have virtually no herbs left right now. I think garden centres are still going to be open during lockdown. They're allowed to be open. So people might have panic bought a load of herbs, but also I think they're moving out the Christmas stock and getting ready for the autumn stock to come in. Sorry, let me say that again. They've moved out the plants and they're getting the Christmas stock come in. So they've probably moved away the herbs because they really don't sell that much at this time of year, unfortunately. But you can still get seeds. Parsley, that can be sown quite happily at this time of year. Coriander, indoors, basil and chives. What else? I'm trying to think. Chives. Quite a bit. A dill can be grown as well. So again, you want that under a bit of protection, but quite a bit that can be done. Okay, it's gone 7 o'clock. So, Chi, I can do that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your photos, Chi. I am going to wrap up this show for today. We'll be back again next Sunday, where we'll be back to our normal non-Halloween special. We hopefully, if any luck, might, no, it won't be out in the new studio next weekend, but if lockdown goes the way it's going, we could be in the new studio throughout this next month, where we can also sow some seeds as we're chatting and do some gardening while we do this live show. Back on YouTube quickly before I wrap up. Mike Stevens, Rosemary and Thyme, they can be sown now, but what you might be better off doing is taking cuttings from somebody that already has a rosemary plant or a thyme plant growing. Very easy to do and very easy to get them established. And Turbo Stream, I sowed a pot of summer salad leaves to try my new grow lights out. Fantastic. Right. Well, that is it for this week, like I say. And I'll be back again next Sunday, 6 p.m. Phone lines will be open. Anything you want to add in email, richard@adventuregroundpodcast.co.uk, or join the Facebook group over on Facebook and post lots of photos and chats. Anything like that. But on the podcast on Monday, we're going to be talking about seeds to sow in November and jobs to do throughout November. And I've not made a video yet because the weather hasn't been on my side and we don't know what's happening. Right. Until next time, please take care. I'll see you all again then.